Jerry, when we get going.
All right.
Sorry, honey.
Unplanned. That I should be speaking today. It was supposed to be Jamie Walters, but she had a death to deal with, and not hers, so don't panic. But she isn't joining us today. I was preparing a message for next week, and when I got word today, or earlier this week, I changed my whole plans and I prepared something else. I said at that time we'll be reading from the Emmet Fox book again, like we covered one other time. But that has changed too. I've got a different format.
Good. Spontaneous
Well,
Jerry.
I hope you enjoy what we do have, because I think it's more, what you call it, pertinent for today's situation. The world has changed since I got word I was going to speak. I thought I'd address the change in the world. But we could start with what's always been constant, and that's our call to worship. It's at the top of your page. If you join me reading, there is but one presence and one power in the universe and in my life, God the good, omnipotent. Now I want that to be kept in mind, because my message today is going to go back to that quite strongly, in the fact that there's only one power, and that God the good, and that being the only power, it could only manifest what it is. When you plant a seed of apples, you're going to grow apples. If you plant corn, you're going to get corn. If you have the power of good, it's only going to manifest good. And that's the only power in the universe. Coronavirus is not real, folks. It's only part of the reality that we live in duality. But we'll get into that. Just keep that statement of oneness in mind. And with that, we could start with music.
Okay, the first song's called Free to Be Me.
Free to be me.
At 20 years of age, I'm still looking for a dream. A war's already waiting for my destiny. But you've already won the battle, and you've got great plans for me. Though I can't always see, 'cause I got a couple dents in my fender, got a couple rips in my jeans. Try to put the pieces together, but perfection is my enemy. On my own, I'm so clumsy, but on your shoulders I can see I'm free to be me. When I was just a girl, I thought I had it figured out. See, my life would turn out right, and I'd make it here somehow. But things don't always come that easy, and sometimes I was down. Oh, 'cause I got a couple dents in my fender, got a couple rips in my jeans. Try to put the pieces together, but perfection is my enemy. On my own, I'm so clumsy, but on your shoulders I can see I'm free to be me, and you're free to be you. Sometimes I believe that I can do anything, yet other times I think I've got nothing good to bring. But you look at my heart and you tell me that I've got all you seek. Oh, and it's easy to believe, even though I got a couple dents in my fender, got a couple rips in my jeans. Try to put the pieces together, but perfection is my enemy. On my own, I'm so clumsy, but on your shoulders I can see
It's not easy, but I'm getting used to it.
We're all prisoners.
Announcements. Mary, you said you had one.
Announcements. Yes, Judy has asked me to tell everybody that there will be no Wednesday 12 noon book group on the Hidden Life of Trees. She said some of you were thinking of attending and have attended. So Judy and Doug usually run that group. Art Suggs was actually going to be the speaker and coordinator of the group. And so it will not be on until further notice, probably at least mid-April, if not a little longer. And I'll let you know when it starts again.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Did something happen to Art?
Now, just because of all this, everybody being shut in, they're not running the group.
But that being said, Wednesday night, this church offers a host of soup supper followed by a Lenten meditation service. I am told that the soup supper is suspended, but the service will continue at 6:45. And if you're interested, the Course in Miracles will continue in the parlor at the
7:30.
usual Lenten time. Is that 7:30?
7:30 to start,
Gather at
7 to
7 to gather,
socialize.
and 7:30.
Yeah, 7
Course
to
begins.
socialize. Do we have to sit 3 feet apart from each other,
We'll see.
like they do?
Other announcements is I'm not too sure who the speaker is going to be next week. If Jamie's going to fill in or if I'm going to take this.
Oh, because you were supposed to be scheduled for it.
I talked to Liana, she wasn't quite certain about Jamie's status.
Oh,
I-
so maybe you again.
You can do Emmet Fox next week.
No, he's doing Emmet
I had
Fox.
another plan on that, and
Yes.
that's what I was working on when this whole thing changed this week.
Okay.
I would really like to be the speaker next week, and I would like to speak on the Course in Miracles and 21 Days to Forgiveness.
Yeah, you have to call
Gotta
Leon up.
talk to Liana.
Yeah, we have to give you
I
Leon.
did.
I have no problem with that, but you
I
have to Liana.
called, but she didn't return my call.
Oh, you did, okay, good.
Okay. She won't be with us today either. She said, I talked to her earlier this
Right.
week and her daughter insisted she stay away from crowds. She falls into the,
And Carla won't be here either. She was told not to be
yeah,
in crowds by her
yeah,
children.
that's it, her children.
Well, then maybe you can just.
Her adult
Carol
children.
will be the speaker if that's okay.
It'd be, I have no authority.
Oh.
I have no authority. I'm just up here speaking today.
Also, yes, on Sundays, Nia Dance has been suspended until further notice.
Right, yeah.
Does anybody have an announcement that life is going on as usual?
We're here.
Unity meets, okay, that's good news. That is real.
I like what Reverend
We're
Diane
having
said
potluck
once.
later. And we're having potluck after this.
Someone came to church and they said to Reverend Diane, don't hug me, and she says, oh, come here. She goes, I don't believe in germs.
Yeah, it was me, I was real sick.
Was it you?
It was me,
you?
yeah.
Yeah.
And she
that
hugged me
stuck with because
anyway.
she
We'll
really
get into that later too, that's what.
She hugged me anyway. I just wanted to warn her just in
The
case
potluck
she
is
didn't
on.
want to.
So we have potluck after today, so that's on. And we're the only ones offering food because food's been canceled in the rest of the church, except for the, what do you call it, the gift shop. There's a little bit of stuff, desserts in there.
Yeah, but that's all been pre-wrapped and whatever.
Yeah, and that's open till,
FCC's allowing that.
that's open till 2 o'clock, if anybody wants to go there.
Moving on, we have the new member welcome. I don't see any new faces, everybody's familiar, but that doesn't mean we can't give a new familiar welcome.
Right.
And the door is still open, so the right people might join us at the right first time. So let's read that new member welcome together.
We open our
hearts
And doors to new individuals and families. We know that the right perfect people are joining us at the right perfect time. Amen.
And you can greet your neighbor any way you feel comfortable with, you know, elbows, on stage. It's good to see you. Let's greet your neighbor.
Who would check and he never got it. And I think about the strength of our immune systems, and I do think about Louise Hay, and that lungs are connected to grief, and my own mother died of pneumonia.
Mm.
And so I think, again, instead of connecting in and, I don't know what my life looks like for the next month because I'm a teacher and my school district is closed down. But I know what I do have control over, and that is my immune system, my heart, my fear level, and that God is good, God is great, God is within, and God is at work, and that's where
And that's
I'm
what
going to
Helen May
reside.
Yeah, that it is attached to fear and also mass consciousness of that fear.
As far as the flu?
Yeah, yeah.
We can continue this discussion in a little bit. I'd like to move on because what we're discussing is exactly what I prepared.
Oh, good.
Okay? I don't want to hog the show either, but there will be room for discussion after.
I like the green, by the way.
Okay.
Very
But it is time to bless our prayer request and understand that our prayers in unity are always either affirmations or denial. The blessing in this prayer request is a strong affirmation of the truth. And if you read it with me, God's
All-encompassing love is doing its perfect work in and through us. Wholeness is established in every area of our lives, and so it is.
It's what we were talking about, is that the goodness and the wholeness of God. We'll get into that too. We've done the daily word, it's time for prayer and meditation. I think we'll hold the meditation to the end of this message.
Okay.
And
Special music?
more special music. It's special enough that it was written by Rose.
That makes it very good.
It's called You Can Relax Now. Written by Shayna Knoll, the first half of the song, and then I added the second half. I added some verses, because it was a short and sweet song.
You can relax now. Come on and open your My thoughts make it so. I am grateful now. We will always grow.
Beautiful.
And Rose still finds the appropriate, you go with it. It's incredible. Thank you, Rose. How did you do that? How did you do that?
She's a natural.
And as I said, I'll be doing the message, but it won't be my words for the most part. I decided to do some readings instead, because more eloquent people have already put it into words. So I thought I'd do some readings. I'm going to start by reading a chapter out of Myrtle Fillmore's Healing Letters, book that Unity has published. And if you're not familiar, Myrtle Fillmore was one of the co-founders of the Unity movement. So we'll hear what Unity has to say at this time.
If we can wait till this is done,
I gotta find
it
it.
has to be turned off.
Oh, the Healing Letters are here. I just lost my page, but I think I know what it is. Here it is. Are we ready? No incurable disease. There is no such thing as a disease or an incurable condition in the system. These activities or weaknesses or abnormalities to which the medical profession gives name are but the efforts of the God-given inner intelligence to deal with the conditions that the individual has produced by his failure to understand the truth and recognize himself as the perfect child of God and to live by the divine law of life. Anything that does not measure up to the Christ pattern of perfection can be changed. Anything that the ideas of God mind, expressing in the mind of man, have not produced can be dissolved into the original nothingness by the understanding and application of the power of spiritual thought and the resultant spiritual action. Doctors, of course, judge by appearances, founding their opinions upon the study of effects and drawing the conclusions from outworking of these mistakes which patients have made. No one who has awakened spiritually and is seen as threefold being in the light of truth would speak of disease as something of itself. He would not think for a moment that the mind was fixed in old race beliefs or errors, nor his body was unresponsive to the spirit. So when anyone comes to us who has had a doctor diagnosis of illness, we ask them to turn deliberately from the doctor's opinions and verdict and cease even to think of the name he gave to the condition that existed at the time of examination and treatment. We ask them to cast out and forget the assumption that this condition would not be changed and done away with utterly, just as one would refuse to hold and think of some unworthy or untrue thing that he might have heard spoken as he walked down the street. The power of denial. We usually have affirmations in denial. We can affirm that disease does not exist except by its effect, and we don't have to give power to it, and we deny the doctor's opinions. We deny the news reports. You ever notice the news reports too? When they talk about the coronavirus, they have a graphic picture of what the microbe looks like.
Yeah.
Can anybody here tell us, is that really what it looks like? Or is that just something that has been manufactured to produce the element of fear? If you can see it, it must be real. You know?
Yeah.
I don't know, I turn the TV.
You know, let's appeal to our physical senses. It's there. I've seen it now. I've seen the virus. But has anybody seen the virus? Seen the effects of it? Has anybody really seen the virus? I don't think so.
Who names these things anyway?
Yeah, how did we get corona?
this is-
I'm so interested in
So
that.
we rejoice and remember that we have the God power to change conditions, the God love to express Christ-likeness, and we work lovingly and diligently with whatever we find in ourselves or environment that falls short. Keeping the attention centered in the Christ mind, we are able to see beyond the appearances to the impulses of the soul, which is always urging us in our efforts to make of use of what God has given. And to the degree that we let Christ be lifted up, in the same degree shall we rid ourselves of that which may have been pronounced incurable, or may have seemed to us as disease that was incurable. Let us more and more remember that which Jesus Christ said, with God all things are possible. And let us listen when we hear within, is anything too hard for Jehovah? Any thought that is not based on the eternal reality, truth, really has no existence at all. So if we believe in disease, we are believing in something that has no substance or reality. When we dissolve the belief out of our mind, and in its place establish the realization of the one presence and the one power of good, and exercise our faith and help as the one presence and power within us, we shall feel the conviction that we are the expressions of health that God is. Again, back to that statement, that opening statement. Don't look at the disease, look at what's real. The disease is just an external manifestation. And I'd like to say it's probably just an external manifestation of the fear that has been produced since 19 years ago in 9/11. Global fear has increased, the sense of separation, the sense of isolation, all that has been manifesting into what is perceived as this global virus. And moving on to another book, this one is also written by Myrtle Fillmore. It's called How to Let God Help You. And this is a chapter called Your Wonderful Body. Spirit is all. We are to bring the soul and the body into the Christ consciousness, the right use of all that God gives. Where would you draw the line between spirit and the material, where there is no evidence that God has placed such boundaries? We see spirit manifesting in the flesh, in the centers of consciousness, and the organs of our body as expressions of energy and substance. If we make a separation in our consciousness, we shall have something that we do not know how to deal with. We are working with the vital spiritual qualities, and we shall change the character of a manifestation as our growth makes change desirable and necessary. Let God carry out his will and way in you now. He needs your temple for the uses of his spirit in bringing his kingdom into the earth. It is his temple, you know, and you have no right to think anything short of perfection about it. Begin this moment to use every ounce of energy and intelligence you have for God, and you will find that you will keep drawing more and more deeply from his wellsprings of his life and love. Your body will become the living sacrifice, wholly acceptable to God, which is your spiritual service. Your body is like a child. It needs constant prompting and training and discipline and praise and appreciation. Your body needs attention, your love, your training. Give all your thought and your love and your determination to perfecting your body. Look at that wonderful body temple. It is precious to you. Begin to see that the body is the instrument of the soul, which enables you to carry out God's plans in the earth.
That's good.
And back to Myrtle Fillmore's Healing Letters. Understanding the body. Jesus says, ye therefore shall be perfect as your heavenly Father is perfect. Paul says, your body is a temple of the Holy Spirit which is in you, which you have from God. Glorify God, therefore, in your body. Unity says, God is in the midst of you, or God in the midst of you is mighty to quicken, to cleanse, to heal, to restore the wholeness, to prosper. Look within yourself to the Christ mind, for the light that will flood your soul and enable you to see yourself and your affairs in right relation to God and your fellows.
Beautiful.
Now I ad lib. Now I will ad lib saying that this virus is not new. This virus is the age-old archetype of fear versus love. The effect of this virus is producing nothing but fear on a global basis. And we all know the way to conquer fear is through faith. Faith is belief in things unseen. What we have to hold on to the fact that what is unseen here is that fear is the illusion. It can be easily conquered by faith. You see God working in this situation, you're able to conquer any of that fear. Recognizing that statement of oneness is one way and one first approach that I use to conquering the fear, knowing that God is working in it. As I was thinking about this, I was thinking, do you know the bubonic plague preceded the age of science? That it was necessary for the Black Death before science awakened? I cannot be certain because it's unseen, but I'm holding to the faith that this global fear is going to be resolved by a global solution. Global solution may be our first step into awakening the Christ consciousness on this planet. It might be a small step at first, but that's the faith I hold, that God is working through this virus to produce his final outcome, because his will be done, with or without our permission. And when we pray the Lord's Prayer, we pray, thy will be done. It's not like giving him permission. It's an acknowledgement, and again, an affirmation that God's will be done. He created mankind as perfect and as one. He sees us perfect and as one, and it will be manifested here on earth as it is in heaven. And this is just one small step towards it, I believe, in my faith. I also realize, too, that over 2,000 years ago, the children of Israel, or those, as Charles Fillmore would describe, the seekers after God, is the children of Israel. They were waiting for the end times to come. They expected the Messiah to come the next day, and it would end the world as we know it, you know? And that expectation and that faith that the change will come brought about the Christ consciousness. If we hold on to the faith through this crisis, and it is a crisis, let's face it, you know, our whole status quo is being upturned. And the fear that it produces, at least with me, and I'm sure everybody else too, is what will be the other cause effects of this virus? They're shutting down everything, our whole life. Our economy is in jeopardy. Everything about the way we live is in jeopardy right now, and it's an unknown fear that we are trying to avoid. But again, the way to conquer the fear is through faith. Look for God in the situation, because believe me, God is in the situation. That's God the good. I'm not saying a cloud riding puppeteer, because I'm not one that has faith in this cloud riding puppeteer that's orchestrating all the events. But if I believe that good can come out of it, I will see good coming out of it.
Yeah.
The Master Jesus taught, seek and you shall find. And if I'm looking at the problem, I'm not going to find any of the good coming out of it. So I got to keep in mind, my faith is that God is working, the good is going to come out of this situation. And I don't need to know how, because that would require sight. Faith does not require sight. I just hold on to that faith. And so that's all I wanted to suggest today is, as unity and truth seekers, we hold on to that faith, that this is not nearly as bad as what the global conscience is. It actually could be the blessing.
Yeah.
You know, who knows what will come out of it. But I know what will come out of it is what I'm looking for. I won't find anything that's going to come out of it that I'm not looking for. So I'm going to hold on. I'm going to do my best and continually pray, affirm, and deny to hold on to my faith. And that's what I learned here in Unity, is by holding on to, or to hold on to my faith, it requires affirmations and denial. I will affirm that God is in the middle of it, and I will deny that this virus is real.
Yeah.
It's just a manifestation of what's going on with my inner self. You know, here in Unity, we do believe metaphysically. It all begins with thought. And our soul is connected to the mind God. We can overcome any of the viruses. So that being so said, I'm going to one last reading. This one is from Charles Fillmore. It's called The Development of Divine Love. And I put my glasses away too soon. Do not not be afraid to pour out your love upon the so-called evil in the world. Deny the appearance of evil and affirm the omnipotence and the omnipresence of love and goodness. Take no account of the evil that appears in your life and your affairs. Refuse to see it as evil. Declare that what seems evil has something good, somewhere a good side, which shall through your persistent affirmation of its presence be made visible. By using this creative power of your own thought, you will change that which seemed evil into good, and divine love will pour its healing love over all.
Yeah, that's
Now,
right.
this sounds like what we're doing may change how we feel, but is it going to change the whole global situation? I am reminded that it takes just a small light to fill a room with darkness. And that critical mass in consciousness is not necessarily more than 50%, only a small percent. It's our charge to keep that faith, that light of faith, into this world of darkness, and maybe we could overcome this whole fear of darkness. And the last thing I will read, this came on Donna's phone from Unity World Ministries. It's a unity prayer for the situation that we're living in today. And again, it's all about affirmation and denial. We know that God is a love that has no end and a power that knows no bounds. God's healing power of divine life is restoring, healing, and revitalizing our world in this very moment. We let go of any fears or anxieties, and we affirm all are safe, healthy, and protected. We bless all those who support us in maintaining the vibrant, radiant health. We express divine life in all we think, say, and do. We bless our global family with radiant health, peace of mind, and abundant love. Now, as I said, the conversation could continue, but I'm done up here.
Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Good selection.
Yeah, you could read my Jewish. I read and speak Jewish. I write Jewish as well.
I read it, you wrote it down.
So I want to say that, yeah, we can see a blessing in all this, as Jerry was reading, that whatever happens, you can see the blessing, and good things can come out of it. And we may not be able to tell what it is at this point. It's unknown possibly, but we'll be surprised that something good can come out of all of this global shake-up of the whole world. Because it's shaking up our whole society, our governments, our people. So it's like almost a new thing wants to come through. So it may be something very good.
I see it opening our hearts. I see local restaurants opening their doors and offering food for elderly, disabled, and children. I see that it doesn't discriminate against any social class or any race or sexual orientation or anything, that people are trying to come together, Google's coming together, government is forgiving and releasing, like our school district, normally we need 180 days, and that is being waived, like restrictions and laws and rules that were in place, that rigidity is relaxing. And so I'm trying to focus on all the ways that the positive is coming out of it, because there are things,
Yes,
as Jerry was talking about.
it's amazing, yeah.
I like what Jerry said, and want to just have another little point about the fact that we look at the word disease. We don't even say it the way it really, it's become something unto itself. But really the word is dis-ease. And so if you look at that, it's really that uncomfortable feeling within that then, lets us be susceptible, if you want to call it our immune system. It lets us be susceptible to things around us that we then believe are real, and we darn them. And then we feel the effects of them as we process it, as we process our thoughts throughout our bodies. So it's not this thing out there, it's just dis-ease.
Well, to add to that, I remember back in the 70s in the Seth book, he had said it's very unfortunate that we put labels, that we take, he says, do not put a bunch of symptoms and give it a label, a name, then it makes it real. You're manifesting it as real. Yeah, and so, he said, don't do that, don't say, and that's how people, like with your immune system, your thoughts can override your immune system, and you start believing you have these symptoms and you have this disease, so.
And the major thing that Jesus has taught me in the Course in Miracles is that we're spirits. We're using these bodies, but we're spirits. So just, your spirit is eternal. And whether you're here or you leave, it's fabulous when you go. So there's nothing to fear. You really can train your mind. And there are pages in the Course that want you to constantly affirm that you are a spirit, you're not your body. And as you do that, everything begins to work.
Yes, the fear
And you
goes
feel good and youthful at any age.
And isn't there a time when everybody feels annoyed when no matter what happens, a friend would say like, well, and it seems flippant when they say, well, all is well, all is well. And then you just want to go, boom. Yeah, well, it didn't happen to you, right? And I've had friends, and we've talked about that, and I said, but the truth is, like you said, truly all is well, one way or another. It always is. And there's always that higher purpose of we're not on the mountain. We can't always see what's going on down below.
Right.
But it would be certainly interesting to do that, take that broader perspective and say, no, there's more to this than meets the eye, and it is going to be for the good. It is going to be for the good. And my belief is that actually this is teaching us what is really, really important to us. So what's important is family, being surrounded by family and friends, having some food, having good conversation, and love. And through this, love will grow. And that's, what any government might underestimate is that eventually love will grow. And that's going to be the weapon is love. And, because it's that strong.
I love that. That's a good way to sum it
Yeah.
up. I wonder with the other churches, though, what they're speaking. I was just curious when Jerry was talking, wondering what's going on in the other, say, Christian churches or temples, and if they're purveying fear, or if they're talking as we are here.
That's where I'm talking about the critical mass of things.
Yeah.
There may be 100 people in a congregation of a more fundamental church, but 2 or 3 of that member of that church may have a Christ consciousness and a faith, and the other 97 may be living in fear. But there are people all over the globe that are awakening to this Christ consciousness, and it bringing us together by separating us is probably going to be another manifestation of what will come out of it, is that critical mass will reach. I was alluding to the fact of how the Israelites were when Jesus came. But it's the same thing now in this present time of children or the seekers of God are looking for God in this situation. And that power will show up to a critical mass to change. I believe. And like I said, that's my faith. But what I'm suggesting to anybody is whatever your faith is, if it's a faith in something good, look for that. If you have faith in, there's a lot of people, that large percentage population have faith that it sucks now and it's going to get a lot worse. And that's what they're going to find. They're going to find it getting worse. But if you keep the faith that I can't see how it's good, but I have the faith that it's something good coming out of it, guess what you're going to find?
Something good.
That law of,
Test everybody.
that law of seeking you shall find is true. It's a truth that is not denied.
I want to say too that I went into all different stores, the past 2 days. And before I came to today, I went to Walmart in Vestal, and I was in Walmart in Ithaca yesterday. And as I walked through the place, even today, there were all these empty shelves, even though Walmart says they get a truck every day of delivery. I took pictures, but there were massive empty shelves all over as far as food, I would say, mostly food and paper products. So, but what I noticed is that the people were basically calm, and the people were not like agitated to speak of, and I was talking to people, people were interacting, and I found that positive, that there wasn't like a panic energy, but it was like just people were walking around and they were taking what they could, they were talking to one another, they were saying, you know, it's hard to believe, we're surprised, we're shocked, but it wasn't like a horror story.
So you didn't see anybody with 2 carts just filled to overflowing like I did in the grocery stores, and I thought, well, you know, I don't really agree with that. Leave some food for someone else, you know.
No,
I never saw that anyone checked that
No,
amount.
what I saw was the attitude was calm. That's what I liked.
I
The
think
attitude was
because people
calm.
are getting used to it, but in the beginning, that is true. I went into a store and I was so overwhelmed with everybody's fear, I couldn't touch it. I could not, I actually, because I'm very sensitive, I had to leave. And so I waited until some of them were empty. But what was so fascinating about that is I found things that I never look at. And I picked out, I got some really cool stuff because nobody saw them or wanted them. And I'm thinking, this is good stuff. And they left it just for me. And I'm like, so I didn't get my mangoes, but I got something else that had some really interesting stuff in it that I would have never chosen or thought of. And I thought, thank you guys, you know, this is lovely. So things I wouldn't have normally ever tasted, now I get to taste because nobody took them. And so it was, and it's all provided, you know. It's all, but I do believe we should go in waves. So therefore, take a little, come back, and let other people come in and take what they need, then come back in another way, lightly, but not this hoarding. Hoarding's not a healthy
Well,
thing.
here's what I'm hoping for is,
Yeah.
I heard a woman yesterday tell me that she has 26 rolls of toilet paper. I'm hoping that her 26 rolls will be enough supply for her, and when other people are unable to find it on the stores and run out,
Right.
she'll say, here, have a roll of mine.
And she
That's
will.
what I'm saying is I hope the outcome will be is people start, if the economy takes off because of this, and there will be shortages, I hope,
Yeah.
Judy mentioned the restaurants
Yeah.
opening up to
Right, they'll be sharing.
people. There will be a more global sharing.
Right, more
And the
global
me,
sharing.
mine, and only me, mine consciousness will drift into, hey, we're all in this together.
Well, this
Let's
is,
work together.
and this is the
And that's what
mentality,
I'm-
that's
Yeah.
right. And people who are taking extra, they are thinking about
Never
sharing it.
thinking me, mine.
No, they're thinking about sharing it also. They're thinking about if somebody needs something, I have something extra. I'm helping others.
Left it on the
So
shelf.
there, that thought is there. So if you think of them in a positive way
Okay.
and see them in a positive way, you will promote that kind of feeling in
Because we
others.
do pick up mass consciousness, you're right, try to think of the positive. But I'd love to do a segment on the Bible and all the healing things that the Bible says, what we could stay healthy with. And there is so much in there. I think people bypass that. There's so much in the Bible that I know of about what it actually says on what we're putting in our bodies. But people just kind of gloss over that and go to, you know, Psalms or something else, and they're not, they forget that there's a bunch of
Well,
stuff
the
in
most
Bible that's
powerful,
very
well,
valid.
maybe the most powerful thing is
Valid.
prayer and love.
Right.
Beyond little bottles of things
But
or
everything
foods of
helps,
things.
everything helps.
The most important thing is prayer and love, because if you don't have those things,
Right.
you are then really forced to be in prayer and love.
But I think
And
it's good to
forgiveness
be well-rounded.
also.
So if you have what you know, what you can eat, what your body can tolerate, and use the Bible for that, because most people aren't even using the Bible for what is actually healthy for the body, because it's
Right, for our
so much in
survival,
there.
for our survival on the planet.
I did a study of that when I was younger, and I have all these papers on it. Yeah.
I also use my inner wisdom,
Yes.
and my inner wisdom is the strongest indicator of what's good for my body. I also, when I see people, we have the power within us. We can bless people.
Yeah.
We can send them positive energy. If
Right.
you see someone struggling in their fear and their lack, ask God to fill their heart with light and love and remove the fear and the lack. We have so much within us, but we are in these bodies, which is connected to the earth, and it's connected to each other and the unified field, and so we can easily get pulled into that fear. Becky, right? It's Becky?
Yeah.
You were asking about what other churches were doing. I was listening to a church in Endicott this morning and their live feed, and their New Life. And the pastor all week, he said, you have a choice. You can stay home, but I don't want to fear. He did a prayer for everybody, and he said, you know, you can stay home, listen to a live stream, or you can come to church. And then he made the decision whether or not to talk about the situation going on, but they stayed with their regular program to get people to step out of their fear and focus on something
That's
else.
good.
So that's just another alternative.
It's very
That's good.
true what you said. We have a lot more power than we realize, you know, from God, because we are children of God, and nothing is random. I mean, these things don't come out of nowhere and attack us randomly. We do not live in a random universe. And so that's what people are afraid of. They're just afraid of this unknown, thinking it could attack them for no reason. But if it does, we know that we've chosen this on some soul level to experience whatever we're experiencing. Like Miss Jerry said, we can change these things. But so many people are overcome with fear that they just aren't, you know, they're not getting in that mindset, so we sort of have to help them pray.
This is the Lord.
To celebrate the goodness of God. I lift up my hands, I lift up my voice to celebrate the goodness of God. So as we wait, eyes wide open, till us we pray, that we may walk in the fullness, the wonder of your grace. These are the hands, this is the voice, to celebrate the goodness of God. I